Hello and welcome to the Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and we do have two reading recommendations as well, I do think. Information is presented, as always, by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet, and this is where we're going to go. We actually made 24,000 sets this week, and I still have, I think, something like 350 in my work in progress pipeline. So yes, we are busy providing more data and more information to you every week. However, this week we will talk about a small part of that set of actually new sets from various brands. And we'll go through the brands in alphabetical order. We will start with BlueBrixx, the brand from over here, Central Europe. And here we have first two insects, actually. First is swallowtail, I do believe, 108708. This is going to be a BlueBrixx Pro set. I don't have a piece count yet. My guess is something, I don't know, in the 500 ballpark, but they have a couple of pictures for us. And so, yeah, I think it's a pretty beautifully designed butterfly, I think it is, right? And as far as I can tell, they also used a couple of printed pieces on the wings, which is quite impressive, actually, to get the design they were looking for. It's not a small set, I think. I mean, I don't have any numbers yet, but if you just count the stats, it's actually not that small, as you may think when first looking at it. It seems there is a pet printed plaque included as well. And so, yeah, quite a beautiful set. And then we have a slightly smaller one, I would say, the Peacock Butterfly 108709. Again, with a couple of printed pieces, it seems. There are tiles, round tiles, 3x3 and 2x2 on the wings that are printed. The rest is brick built, and like with the swallowtail, there are also a couple of plants basically on the base. And again, a printed plaque as well. Quite a beautiful design, but like I said, it seems to be a little bit smaller. Maybe it's also going to be a bit cheaper. Then on the regular animal side, they want to make, or they did announce, a Black Panther 108711. And again, I don't have a piece count yet, but I would say it's a really beautiful design. And at the same time, it feels quite realistic, but it also feels like a cat that you may want to have around, right? That you want to pet a little bit. I don't know. It feels like at the same time it has a certain realism, but it also feels like a bit, I don't know. In German we would say knuffy. Anyhow, I don't have a piece count yet, but this is the announcement. As always, by the way, these are BlueBrixx Pro sets. Usually they are relatively quick bringing them to market. With BlueBrixx Specials, it's usually around 6 months between announcement and actually coming on shelves. BlueBrixx has a strategy of announcing their BlueBrixx Specials very early on. With BlueBrixx Pro, it usually goes a lot faster. But let's see. I can't say or can't predict because it's quite, I mean, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's like half a year. I don't know. Anyhow, then they have a pellet surgeonfish 108672. Here we have a few more information already. 1200. I don't know. The website says 61 pieces. The box art says 1262. I guess it doesn't really make a difference. Here we also have a size. This thing is roughly 8 by 11 inches and 6 inches in height, and as you can see, it's quite a beautiful surgeonfish. I don't know. This was also in Finding Nemo, wasn't it? In the Disney, or was it a Pixar movie? Oh, I don't know. So it has been a while, but if I recall correctly, they had this fish in there. Anyhow, I think it is again quite a nice design. A lot of color with all the corals and everything, which looks really beautiful. And there's even a crab included as well. And a pearl. I mean, did you see the shell with a pearl in there? So yeah, quite a lot of things that you may explore when having this set. And then we have the freshwater angelfish, which is quite funny because, I don't know, for German it feels a bit weird. Angel is actually the German word for fish rod, and I think actually this is why this sort of fish is called this. I think it is a German word, but again, it is a fish rod. So I don't know, if you want as a fish, have this in your name. And actually in German, we don't call them that. In German, it's a Scala. But yeah, here you go, 108816, the freshwater anglefish. Again, I don't have a piece count, I don't have a size yet, but I think it is, again, quite a beautiful design. I mean, I had a freshwater tank many, many years ago on aquarium, and I always wanted to have one of those, but they actually, yeah. I think did I even have one? No, I think I always wanted one, but I never had them because they're quite large actually and quite aggressive. So they have a certain tendency to eat smaller fish. So I think this is the main reason why I never had one, but they are really beautiful. And here you go. Now BlueBrixx has a set. And then they have, actually, without a German translation, without an English translation, I think it should be called a pyramid, right? The rest, I think, is the same in German and English. A 3D puzzle, or in German puzzle. And then in German pyramide, in English pyramid. Anyhow, 108704, BlueBrixx wants to make a 3D puzzle, and it's a pyramid. I've said already in the German version of the show yesterday that I don't really know what the puzzle part is, how this exactly works. My guess is that all of these parts, in quotes, of the pyramid are not really connected, and you basically have to put them, I don't know, together and sort them by color and height and everything. I guess that's the puzzle part. I don't think that it's just, put the pyramid on the base and this is the whole game, I think. But it's an interesting set for sure. It has 522 pieces at this point in time, only an announcement. So yeah, let's see how this goes. And with that, we are on availabilities, and here we have first Ravenstone Fortress, the gatehouse with walls, is now available. I think I did talk about this one in March. This is a BlueBrixx Pro set for the Ravenstone line. So all in all, they have created the original fortress. Then they have the ossuary. They had a wall extension, and of course, with the way these fortresses work. So this is both the case for Beer Rock as well as Ravenstone. You can, of course, buy the extensions or even the castle itself multiple times. So this stuff is highly flexible. So they have only 3-4 extensions, but at the end of the day, you can buy as many as you want and, make this thing as big as you want. They also had a minifigure pack. So this is now, at this point in time, this is the last extension that so far they have announced, and that one is now available. With its 3 minifigures and 1,100 pieces, BlueBrixx is asking for $55, 5 cents a piece. Let's compare this to the original Fortress, which was slightly cheaper by means of 4.6 cents a piece. By the way, as you can see here, BlueBrixx has now started at least a little bit also to provide digital instructions for their BlueBrixx Pro sets. It seems they do this only for the new ones, but at least for some, you will have digital instructions. And as you can see here I have linked this to their website. So if you're interested, taking a look, this may be for you. However, as you can see, for instance, for this Ravenstone gatehouse, they have not yet provided it. Anyhow, 3 minifigures, 1,101 pieces. With that, moving on to Funhole, and here we have 2, or Lumibricks, I should rather say now. I've not yet changed the name on the website, on my website. I will do this in a couple of weeks. I think at this point in time it's too early. It would just confuse people a little bit. And I don't have a feature of providing multiple names for the same brand. So if I do the rebranding, then, it's going to be for all of it. But long story short, we have seen 2 new sets over in Asia. As always, I've talked about this in the past. We have, especially with Funhole, the situation quite often that because they provide these sets for their own domestic market in China as well as for the Western markets. And you can see this already here on the box art. This is for the domestic market. So obviously, so I have a couple of partners, affiliate partners, who are retailers in China, and this is why I have the information and the link, in this case AFOBREC, who's already selling it. They will actually ship it to the West, so you can buy it like this, no problem. It's the same set. It's just it has a different box art and different instructions, with Chinese letters instead of the Western one. The thing is that I'm saying that because if I look at the set name, I would not bet that this is actually going to be the name that Funhole or Lumibricks is choosing as soon as they go on the Western market. So I can't guarantee that. For the time being, I will call it the Sunset Post, a 9082 from Lumibricks, 455 pieces, 2 minifigures, and of course the party piece of this company, the lighting. The illumination by Lumibricks is included as well. This is an interesting set. I think it's an extension for the road trip series, and you can see this here. They have this big sign for the gas station as well as the sign for the Twilight Motel, which are actually two sets that they have already made as part of the series. And then there's a third sign for the Night Blue Drive-In, which is like kind of a cinema or a drive-in theater, which actually we'll come to in a second. So this more extension set binds it all together. Anyhow, you can buy this in China right now for around $53 US. However, at this point in time, if you can wait, I would still wait until Funhole has actually released the Western version, because usually they bring it to Amazon and also a lot of Western retailers will get it, and then I think the prices will come down as well. And now we come to the just mentioned drive-in theater 9081. So this is one of the larger sets, 1760 pieces. It has, I think, 4 minifigures included as far as I can tell. And yeah, you have basically your drive-in, and it's in the typical Funhole modularity or accessibility, which is quite cool. This is something that they always incorporate in their designs, that you can access the set from the back wall, from the top, which of course, but still they are all full-blown buildings. So they're not just a facade as, for instance, Lego is doing a lot. The cinema itself, I think there's a cardboard or something like that included as well. However, you can also throw in your iPad, for instance, if you want to have, basically want to have, what do I want to say? Yeah, kind of a moving picture. However, for this set, we already have the box out for the Western market. So it's the Night Glow Drive-In. So let's just fix this. And this is exactly what I meant. This is not the same name as the one that my Chinese retail partner guessed it would be. However, in this case, we already have this picture. So here you go. Same story though. I would maybe wait a little bit until we have availability for the Western market. $132 US, however, if you want to buy it from China right now. From the design perspective, in general, I like the concept, like the building, the whole iPad thing I personally don't need. The cars look a little bit weird, especially the front car here. I guess this is, I don't know, a Chevy or something, but the wheels look far too small, and also the entire car design is a little bit blocky for my taste, but I really like the building. The building is a lot of fun. We can expect, usually with Funhole nowadays, there are no stickers included. Everything that you see here is printed, and there's a lot of prints in it, it seems. Plus, of course, the Funhole party piece, the lighting aspect. With that, moving on to Reobrix, and here we have a new locomotive, BB 15000 electric locomotive 66083 by Reobrix. This is a French locomotive, I think. SNCF had these made in the 70s, I believe. They had multiple of those. They have this iconic nose from the era. So if you're into trains, 2052 pieces. I have built, I think not this one for sure, but one of those of this series. In general, it's a cool idea, right? You have this beautiful train. It's very detailed. You have it on this display stand. There's a plug included. There's a kind of a cardboard background included. So, but it's not for driving around. It's purely for presentation. In fact, the tracks are brick built and not the standard tracks. And in fact, I don't think you can make these really drive around. I mean, they're in theory, yes. I mean, if you invest a little bit of time to change it, but in general, it's not made for that. For instance, at least the one that I've built last year wasn't even able. You couldn't even make it go around a corner or something like that. It's purely for being like this, look beautiful, and that is that. However, at least this one that I've built last year was entirely sticker based. So everything in here was stickers. And so that's something to consider. It's not a small set though. As you can see here, it's not roughly 8 by, it's 20 inches in length and then 7 by 8. Actually, these numbers are wrong. I have to fix them. But in general, it's like 20 inches in length 8 inches in height and 8 inches deep. Basically, it's not a small set. But yeah, here you go. You can buy this in Asia for around $100 US, 5 cents a piece. With that, moving on to TGL or GaoMizi. This company has multiple brands out there. I've just combined them all into GGL. And here we have first the Flower Shop 2103, 769 pieces. You can buy this one in basically from Chinese retailers for around $30 US. It seems it's also available in certain Amazon marketplaces like in the US and Canada. Yeah, I think I picked this one for the show tonight because I think it's really, it's a little bit over the top for sure. It's not very realistic because, I mean, just look at the size of the flowers in regards to the building. But nevertheless, it is a lot of fun. It seems there's even a little bit of lighting included. I don't know. I'm not 1% sure. But I think there's a lot of stuff going on. So if this kind of fairy tale vibe almost is your cup of tea, then this set may be for you. If not, there's also the 2104, the Garden Courtyard, which is a similar design. As I would say, I mean, if you look at the flowers, it's not as much over the top. By means, just from the size perspective, the flowers fit a little bit more to the building. However, it is still, very colorful and yeah, I think I think it's not to everyone's taste, but I do really like it. What I don't know though is with TGL, if all of these pieces that you see here, this kind of masonry brick in quotes design, if this is stickered or prints. I get personally, I would say in this case, I would prefer even stickers because then I don't have to attach them. Because for me personally, that is not really what brick building is all about, right? I mean, yes, we have the masonry brick, but printing this masonry design on pieces is not really something that I would like to see. This is not what the hobby is all about. But anyhow, this thing has 755 pieces. You can order this from China for around $28 US, but we also have Amazon Marketplace entries, both for the US and Canada, it seems. And the US version is $26, so it's even slightly below that. With that, we're moving on to Xbert. Here we have the fire engine. This is actually not a new set, I do believe. It's not that new for sure, but it was pointed out to me that this one was missing from the database, so I gladly added it. 66036, the fire engine by Xbert. This is actually, I think, a collaboration that they have with the mock designer Speedhand Creations. In fact, I also, as always, when I have the reference, I will link also the original Rebrickable site from the set. As far as I can tell, this is legit. This is a collaboration. I think Xbert is doing a lot of these. And yeah, it's not such a big set. It's 700 pieces, but it's only going to cost you from Asia. Europe, in this case, is my partner, around $20 US. As always, when I talk about prices from Chinese retailers, customs, shipping, etc., your mileage may vary greatly depending on where you live. So this is just a reference price that I usually take from, this is into the European Union, into central Germany, to Germany to be precise, because, this is where I'm located. So I take this as a reference, as a sample, if you will, because again, there's huge differences depending on where you live. Anyhow, yeah, I think it's a pretty beautiful fire engine. I think the mock itself by Speedhand Creations has been out for quite a while, but it's still a beautiful design. All the stuff here that you can see on the set, I guess it's stickers. I actually hope it's stickers because, I don't know, Xbert is doing the same stuff that, for instance, Mold King is doing a lot. Also some other brands, like putting their own branding on the set, which of course is not something that you want to have, at least in my opinion. If I want to have a fire engine, I don't want to have BlueBrixx as a sign on my fire engine. And the same as license plates. I don't want to have the set number as a license plate. Well, that's just me. But in general, I do think it's stickers. I think no company would invest into pet prints to put their own set numbers on it, because I guess they already know that a lot of people will not put this on. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to reading recommendations. And here we have two reviews actually that we published on the site in the last couple of days. First, Kobe's AH-64 Apache Attack Helicopter 5808. This is not a new set. It's actually quite, has been in the market for quite a while. There are not that many helicopters that Kobe is doing. They have the Blackhawk right now. They actually just re-released the Blackhawk, I think. They have, of course, the Osprey for quite a while now and the Chinook. But yeah, and in addition, the Apache we are talking about today. So I went into the set. Like I said, it's not that new. And in fact, there are a couple of things that maybe Kobe would even do better nowadays. But it's still available on the market, at least over here in Europe. But in general, I think there are several smaller compliants. In general, I really like the design. I think it's quite authentic. As you can see here, I put these images side to side, and I think for a set in this size they did a pretty decent job. There are not that many prints. For a Kobe set, it's actually a relatively low print number, but I think the important stuff is there. They have the stand as always. What I really don't like, and I don't understand why Kobe is doing this sometimes, so the two minifigures, in order to get them in, they actually had to reduce them again. Means I think the pilot has only his head included, the weapons officer, maybe also the torso, but it's just not two complete minifigures, which is okay. They just can't fit entire minifigures in their design, which is fine. However, they're not even including all the missing parts. So that means if you want to, remove the two pilots, the pilot and the weapons officer, you just can't. It's just, yeah, it's part of the set. It's not really a minifigure anymore. Kobe is doing this a lot, and I really don't like it. As being a minifigure fan myself, and I always would like to take a look at the minifigures in all their glory. They don't do this all the times, but too often in my opinion. So if you're interested, you may want to take a look at this review. And what I also reviewed was the BlueBrixx Max lighting kit for the new UCS Jango Fett Starship by Lego 75409. So the BlueBrixx Max kit in general, I think I'm really a big fan of the brand. Usually also in all my mock projects, I use BlueBrixx Max stuff. And yes, the lighting components are of great quality. Building instructions are perfect. It's a great kit. However, they definitely have a quality problem with these light strips. The ones with the rubber/silicone cover up, because what happened in this kit, and I've seen this before, but in this one it's much more extreme, is basically that the glue or the adhesive is simply not strong enough to keep these silicone covered lighting in place, and you definitely see it. And it's not even holding up for more than a minute. I mean, I was really struggling. I've seen this problem in the past, but because of all the round curves of this ship, it's even more extreme. In general, though, I think my bigger issue is that the lighting is simply completely over the top. I mean, that is kind of, you know this when you buy this kit. So actually, if you look at these blue and green lights here around the ship, I would not even attach it, so this may not be an issue. In fact, I intend for my ship, I intend to remove the green and blue lights again and use them for other projects, so I don't have a big issue with this. Nevertheless, it is kind of a quality problem from my point of view. They definitely need to work on their adhesive strips that they use here. But yeah, here you go. If you're interested in, if you want to start lighting up your Star Wars collection, you may want to take a look at this review. I try to look into as many aspects as I can. In fact, we have already done or published a ton of reviews on these light kits. So if you're interested in lightailing BlueBrixx Max, Light My Bricks, Light Go, I think these are the 4 brands I have looked at in the past, and we have dedicated pages, for instance, here for BlueBrixx Max. As you can see, we've done a ton of stuff. We also publish a couple of, when they have some discount or some sale going on, we will publish this as news on the site as well. So if you're interested in the lighting topic, you may want to check this stuff out. With that, we're moving on to MOCs of the week, and here I've picked a nice selection of MOCs that have been published on Rebrickable in recent days and weeks. And first, we have a Smaug Book Nook by Rebel Neely, 1,516 pieces. I think, yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. I think it follows kind of the design language of the Sherlock Holmes Book Nook. The new Lord of the Rings Book Nook that I guess we'll talk about next week, by the way, has a different design, but I think this one here follows a little bit the design language, which personally I'm not even the biggest fan of, because I think it's not really the idea of a Book Nook to look nice from the sides, because this is, where the books go. So I think also in the in the Sherlock Holmes book nook, Lego invested too many pieces in these side walls. I think they should have invested a bit more in the detailing on the inside, because I think that is what a book nook is all about. Anyhow, Rebel has followed that design language, but still done a beautiful set, a beautiful mock design, I should rather say, on the inside. And of course, you have like it's I guess the scene. I think it has never been described like this by Tolkien in the book, but in the movies, Smaug was kind of sleeping in his gold, and then I think it was the end of the second movie when, he was just opening his eye. But then you have, of course, Bilbo as well, with the ring and everything. So yeah, it's a cool idea by Rebel Neely, who is actually asking for €8.50. Then we come to an amazing, I think it's a modification. No, it's an alternate build. So I think it actually works with the pieces from the original Lego Black Panther set, 76215, which I think a lot of fans did not really like. And what Ransom Fern has managed to do is to create a so much better design. I don't know, it's better in so many ways. Even if you would need extra parts, I would gladly invest them because it looks so much cooler, in my opinion. Especially the entire head section looks so much better. It uses 2,925 pieces, which is amazing, and you can buy this for $17 US. I think this designer has done a similar thing with the Hulkbuster, which was also kind of a Marvel set that Lego messed up in a big way. So yeah, if you're interested in the topic but may not like the Lego sets, then this alternate build may be for you. With that, we're moving on to the complete medieval town square by Legacy of Legion. I think I've talked about some of the subcomponents or some of these MOCs in this package, but now that it seems the series is complete, I want to talk about it again because it is a beautiful design. 12,725 pieces are needed to build the entire thing, but of course, you can also start small and just build some of the sub-assemblies or sub-MOCs. I think it's 3 MOCs overall. Medieval, I think it's 3 MOCs. You can buy them individually, buy the entire thing. I really like this design by Legacy of Legion in so many ways because I think it is, and I really like this, it's kind of the Lego castle vibe is coming clearly across. It has all the colors, it has this certain, comic-like feel, but at the same time, it has a lot of detail to it and modern building techniques. And I think that is exactly what at least I am always looking for, having these design. Other designers are doing similar as well. It's just amazing. And personally, I also think a lot better than, for instance, what Lego has done in recent years. I mean, if you look at the Lion Knight's castle, it's a cool set to a certain degree, but there's also too much simplicity in certain areas of the castle. I mean, the Green Hills with using these enormous green slopes is not really my cup of tea because, of course, Lego designers have to save parts wherever they can to keep the price down because, Lego sets are already kind of ridiculously priced. But, of course, mock designers don't have to do that. And you see this here, right? Throw in 12,000 pieces and you get in a beautiful town square. And I mean, if you compare this to Lego's medieval marketplace, I don't know. I can't recall how many pieces were in this one, but it was maybe like 3,000 or maybe something like that. Anyhow, here you go. And with that, we're moving on to something small for only €2.50. By the way, for the entire town square, Legacy of Legion is asking for €50, which I think it's absolutely worth it. However, if you want to go smaller, maybe start small with your first, Rebrickable-based MOC, you may invest €2.50 into the wine merchant's carriage from Nottariroiano. Oh, I can't pronounce this name. This designer's name or nickname or online persona. Anyhow, I think it's a beautiful card. It's relatively small, but I think it has the amount of detail that you really want. You have you need 2 axes, of course, but in general, I think this is a really beautiful card, and I'm pretty sure you could also throw in 2 horses if you don't have these ox pieces. But yeah, pretty nice little wine card. And then we have the Mandalorian Throne Room by Sir Builds-A-Lot with 824 pieces. And I really think, I mean, it's a simple design, but the cool thing I do believe about the Mandalorian Throne Room is that which is actually picked from a larger mock that this designer has done, which is really cool. And what is really cool about the Mandalorian Throne Room, in my opinion, is that, I mean, the Mandalorian plot was kind of, I guess, the largest one of the entire Clone Wars series. I mean, if you think about it, it was, if you will, until the 7th series, it was not really in the last series, basically, it was not really in the center of the plot. But it was an important part. I think they even, I mean, the first Mandalore thing, I think they even started it, you know, with Obi-Wan and everything. They started in the first season, didn't they? And, you know, they kept it until the last season. And of course, it was, you know, it was the most important place for the last season as well. So I think it was a pretty long plot. And as a result, a ton of stuff was going on in this throne room. I mean, if you have a diorama like this, you could do, like, I don't know, switch scenes like every 2 weeks and, you know, have a lot of time you can cover with that. Because, you know, so much stuff was going on in this throne room, right? You know, regions were overthrown, battles were fought. And actually, like I said, this is where Clone Wars ended to a certain degree. So I think this is really cool about this diorama. Of course, this one here, you know, with the broken glass and everything, is for one specific scene. I guess it's from the Siege of Mandalore. I guess, yeah, it's from the Siege. But of course, you could, you know, repair the glass. You have all the building techniques available. And then, you know, do other scenes as well. Maybe even make this like flexible, by means you can do both, right? You have the complete version for certain scenes and then a broken up version for other scenes. Anyhow, I really like this design. Sir Builds-A-Lot is asking for $5 US. With that, we're moving on to the Heavy Haul Bundle with the Canvas Bullnose by Yellow LXF, who's always good for nice trucks, nice trains, and stuff like that. Nice vehicles in general. 1,272 parts. Like it says, it's a bundle, so it's actually like you can also buy this individually by means of three. Marks. You have the Canvas Bullnose, the Heavy Duty Trailer, and the Alice Chalmers. I'm pretty sure I pronounced this entirely wrong. HD21P. So you have these three individual kits. I really like the Bullnose design, especially also with the angle that the front is having, which looks really cool and authentic. And what I really like about this one is it's very detailed. It feels very authentic. I'm not a specialist for sure, but to me at least, it feels quite authentic, very detailed. But at the same time, it's not that big. I think you could still, it's minifigure scale in a nutshell, and I think you could still fit this into your city if you have a construction site, or even just, you know, put this on a regular road. I'm pretty sure it's too wide to fit on Lego's current road system, but if you're in the team of building your own roads, you know, using snot technique, bricks on the side, or just tiling, stuff like that, then this may be for you. $17 US for the entire bundle. But like I said, as always, when I talk about bundles, I will provide all the links down below in the video description or podcast show note. But of course, you know, if you click on the mark, just go here on the designer's account, and then you will also find, in this case here, the Bullnose, the Heavy Duty Trailer, and the Bulldozer. With that, we're moving on to the Streets of Ferrix diorama, again by a designer which online persona's nickname I can't pronounce. Something with Coleman and Jedi to Have and Eve and something in between. 835 pieces though. And I think it's a cool diorama because I think we don't have enough stuff for Ender. I mean, Lego is not making good sets for us. I mean, they made overall 2 sets so far. One of them was a big disappointment. The U-Wing is actually, in my personal opinion, by the super set compared to the Rogue One version. So I think Lego did not a good job here. They did the Ferrix landing set they did in the first season. That was that. And for the second season, they have only one set, the U-Wing, out right now. And they want to build, of course, the droid I think, which is going to release August 1st. So overall, Lego's investment into Andor has been a great disappointment. However, we should always keep in mind that Andor is a good example of a series that is a fan favorite, but it's not as successful as many others. For instance, I know a lot of folks who are big Star Wars fans who really don't like the Obi-Wan series, but I think it has been one of the most successful ones for Disney. If you just look at minutes watched, statistics online, Andor is the other way around. So maybe understandable, because a company like Lego at the end of the day, has to serve the hardcore fans, but of course also the wider public. And so this may be the reason. However, it may also be that Lego, over time will create more Andor sets. Anyhow, thanks to the mock building community and sites like Rebrickable, there is now a lot of stuff to be had if you're an Andor fan. I think this one here is a good example. I can definitely recommend, by the way, if you're into Andor, I think what was BlueBrixx, I think is the YouTube account name, has done one of the most beautiful mock series on Andor I've ever seen. And this is a very rare thing, has also created a beautiful YouTube series on, how he built all of these mocks. So I definitely recommend to check this one out. So long story short, what he's also done is, I think in his first or second episode, is, his concept of getting all the minifigures together, because Lego has not done that many sets. You have to be creative to use different Lego parts and pieces to bring your minifigures together. And I think he has done a great job here. So if you're, trying to figure out how can I do this minifigure thing, as you see it on this image here, for instance, I would definitely recommend to check out this YouTube channel. And he has also a playlist, I think, for the entire series. So I recommend to check this one out because it is not that complicated to get all these minifigures together. So long story short, I think it's a beautiful diorama. I think it has all the things that you would need. And as you can see here already on this image, there are multiple scenes from Andor Season 1 that you could actually do, right? Like the beginning, like as you can see here, or the ending with the funeral. So multiple options are there. And I think this is how this for me makes a perfect diorama. Actually, something that some of the Lego dioramas are lacking a little bit. They're just one scene, and this is all you can do with them. But I think this one here is good for multiple scenes from Season 1. The designer is asking for $2.50 or 49 to be precise. Then we have the Art Nouveau Public Bath by TaiGaoLe. 1,299 parts in this architecture mock. Actually, this is Müllersches Volksbad in Munich. For those of you who know the city, and this may be a familiar site. And yeah, it has, like I said, 1,300 pieces. I think it's very detailed. It's a beautiful design. It really, I don't know, I haven't really compared, but at least to me, it seems to represent the reference quite well. And it has an interior by means of the bars, the pool, if you will, itself, which is not much. It's just 1/3 of the entire mock, but still a lot more than most architecture designs do, both on the mock side as well as Lego sets. One of the things that I really loved about Lego's Notre Dame was that it had an interior, which I think a lot more architecture designs should do. It's always just, amazing to be able to look on the inside. It's relatively simple, something that you want to do, from time to time, show to, to your visitors and stuff like that. So I really like when architecture designers are doing this. And again, as you can see here, there's not much going on the inside. It's relatively simple, but still, I really like it. And I definitely, if I would build this, would do this from time to time. TaiGaoLe is asking for $9 US for the instructions. With that, we are done for the show. As always, wherever you see this or watch this or listen to this, like, rate, subscribe, follow. I don't know. It's called different on every platform. As always, we usually have video versions on YouTube, of course, which is the lead platform, which also means I think you can listen to this on YouTube Music or whatever the app is called nowadays. And we will also have a video version on Spotify next to the audio version, as well as a video version on TikTok if we manage to stay below an hour, which is currently the upload limit that I at least have for TikTok. And then, of course, we have audio versions on all the other major podcast platforms as well. And like I said, wherever you can do to make this show more known, please do me the favor and, click the buttons that are needed for that. With that being said, thanks for listening. See you next week.